It remains a global mystery. The evening of 23 December 1888 in Arles, in southern France, makes headlines. A heated discussion takes place in the Yellow House on Place Lamartine. The standard reconstruction is based on what the French painter Paul Gauguin wrote in his last work, Avant et Après, which was later given the title Intimate Journals at the beginning of the 20th century. It describes how Vincent van Gogh pursued him in the street. Gauguin gave him a sharp look, and Van Gogh returned to the Yellow House. Van Gogh then reportedly mutilated his own left ear with a razor. This explanation is maintained by Police Commissioner Joseph Dornano from Arles. He was the police officer who found Vincent van Gogh injured in the Yellow House, and he was the one who questioned Paul Gauguin when Gauguin returned to the Yellow House on Monday morning, 24 December 1888. His heart was in his mouth when Gauguin thought the police commissioner wanted to accuse him of murder, but when Vincent van Gogh turned out to be alive, he was overcome by another emotion: self-assurance. Gauguin gave this statement that Van Gogh must have cut off his own ear, and the police commissioner believed him immediately. This single statement was then taken up by others, including Dr. Felix Rey, Vincent van Gogh's attending physician at the hospital in Arles. A mystery was born. But in early December 1888, an argument broke out in which Vincent van Gogh became angry and threw a glass of absinthe at Paul Gauguin in a café. Van Gogh made a drawing about this just before his death in 1890. Van Gogh threw a glass of absinthe at Gauguin in response to the painting Gauguin had made, entitled Vincent van Gogh Painting Sunflowers. Van Gogh felt that he had not been portrayed well as a figure. In Paul Gauguin's writings, which he wrote a few months before his death in 1902 and 1903, he reveals what Van Gogh said about his painting. "This is me, certainly, but I have gone mad." Gauguin in turn made a drawing in his notebook in which Van Gogh resembles a monkey. He continues this monkey in the painting Vincent van Gogh Painting Sunflowers. The sunflowers are given their own character as a metaphor, a visual language that can also be called anthropomorphism, in which human features are attributed to an object. This image is a reproduction that I purchased myself. Above the top sunflower, which is the largest sunflower in this painting, a sultry woman can be seen with golden yellow locks of hair, a made-up eye with an eyebrow and an eye with colors blue to match Van Gogh's eye color, and green as the color of tension and uneasy feelings, which Van Gogh referred to in a letter as terrible passion. And yes, this tension is also clearly described between the two artists in the same period when a discussion arises about this painting. Vincent van Gogh writes to his brother Theo, "The discussion is extremely electric. Sometimes we come out of it with a tired mind, like an empty battery." But this sultry woman also refers to their relationship with intimacy. Gauguin writes cryptically about this several times, and I will return to this in another episode. If we look at the sunflower below, a remarkable animal emerges. This sunflower is metaphorically painted by Gauguin as a mockery, because it is a pig's head. in the Paris studio of Fernand Cormon, also a teacher at the École des Beaux-Arts. They had heard that anyone who does not measure or draw straight lines paints like a pig. Van Gogh wrote about this in a letter. The pig is an animal that was used as a mockery in painting, and Gauguin liked to use this animal as a metaphor and symbol, which suited his art movement, symbolism and synthetism very well. Vincent van Gogh knew this and must have seen it in the painting that Gauguin made of him. During the same period, still mid-December 1888 in the Yellow House in Arles, Vincent van Gogh painted a portrait of Paul Gauguin. It is the only known portrait he made of his painter friend. But there is something that immediately stands out, and this style of painting will return in other paintings, but more about this later. In this portrait, at the bottom of the red beret worn by Gauguin, a hairstyle can be seen that resembles the back of a pig, the pig's backside, characterized by the crease in the hair and the pink color that Van Gogh adds to it. In this way, they communicate back and forth about the pig through their brushes. This is not an interpretation, it is pattern recognition, although hidden through symbolism and synthetism. This pig reappears frequently in other paintings with the same meaning. It is an anthropomorphic metaphor that is used time and time again. This portrait of Paul Gauguin by Vincent van Gogh was briefly questioned in the 20th century and was briefly labeled a fake. According to Swedish art historian Carl Norefalk, its authenticity is doubted and it is suggested that it's not a Van Gogh. However, this is refuted by two other sources. The first source is the Dutch librarian and author Johan Stellingwerf. In his book he writes about this portrait, stating that it was painted on the same rough jute, also jute. Vincent van Gogh's 1888 painting Les Allusions was also painting on this jute. Furthermore, the colors in the portrait of Paul Gauguin are the same as those used on Gauguin's chair, which was painted by Van Gogh during the same period, in December 1888. Moreover, the portrait of Paul Gauguin should serve as an equal painting because closer study revealed that the jute canvas had been cut and glued onto wood. It would actually be a larger work equal to the portrait that Paul Gauguin made of Van Gogh. The second source comes from the Dutch Van Gogh researcher Joost van der Hoeven. In his writing, he states that Gauguin was annoyed by the thick paint, like impasto with blobs of paint, that Van Gogh had applied to the portrait. These sources confirm that the portrait was painted by Van Gogh, and there is the additional detail of the pig shapes painted in pink in Gauguin's hair. This should not be underestimated. The lower sunflower has strange sunflower leaves. Although they are green, their shape does not correspond to actual sunflower leaves. They are shaped like crab legs. It is striking that Vincent van Gogh painted several paintings of crabs during the same period. And there was a reason for that. In French, there is a saying, marcher comme un crabe. This means that something is going wrong, that is not straightforward, similar to a crab walking sideways. This is in line with Fernand Cormon's statement about painting like a pig, without measuring and without drawing straight lines. The crab carries the same meaning. Paul Gauguin's painting of Vincent van Gogh painting sunflowers says a lot about the way of painting as a code language to make clear what one was going through, how one experienced it, and what mockery was used to lecture each other during discussions. Those discussions did not consist entirely of words, but were expressed in their works of art with their pencils and brushes. This language became their code language for communicating with each other. And just about every painting and drawing that was made consisted of these symbols and metaphors, often allegorical and literary, cited and explained to make their views clear to each other. For example, Gauguin asked Van Gogh to make a series of sunflowers for him. I will reveal what these sunflowers created by Van Gogh have to say in a future episode. Stay tuned and follow the series Miracles in Art, News and Education on this channel. It's the art, my dear. If you would like to support me in this work, you can purchase a collector's item, a handmade light point with a few meaningful sunflowers by Van Gogh on this golden sphere as a candle, packaged in an NFT box. This NFT box contains my study sketches from the collage about the ear incident. See the link below in the description. Thank you very much and see you next time.